We'll sit down. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 22nd, 2017 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. If everyone would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank you. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board. To my left is Gary Merrill, our Vice President. To my right is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis, our County Administrator Farzan Ahmed, and Sarah DeNova, our Clerk, is going to lead us today.
Resolution number 17-644, in the matter of approving the electronic record of the proceedings from regular meeting held June 19, 2017.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 17-644. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We have no public or elected comment today. Resolution number 17-655, in the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CMA PR 0621, and procurement card payments in batch numbers PCA PR 0621.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 17-655. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 17-656, in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 17-656. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 17-657, in the matter of accepting and approving the Delaware County Sheriff's Office Transport Report for the month of May 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 17-657. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 17-658, in the matter of approving change order 008 to the construction manager contract between the Delaware County Board of Commissioners and Lend-Lease Construction Incorporated for the Sandusky Street Courthouse and related parking facility.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Vote. Oh, no. Discussion first.
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. We have for you change order number 8 for the new courthouse across the street. Just a mix of 15 change order requests, varying from omissions in the details in the drawings to some value-added changes and owner's request as we work through some of the electronics with the judges and for the new courthouse. So the net increase of these change orders is $31,400.
Looked like maybe a majority of the number of changes are compensable changes?
Yes, there's a lot. And personally, I attribute this to the push we had to get the drawings done to keep this project moving and keep it push forward. They condensed the design of this building and expedited the plans to get it to the contractor to get it out for pricing for GMP3. There's over 250 pages of detailed drawings that there's a lot of little coordination issues, little details that if you had a couple months to actually go through, some of this would have been avoided.
I think I heard Commissioner Benton say some of these are compensatory. Does that mean we're going to get reimbursed for something?
No. They were omitted from the drawings, and as they coordinated, the contractor should be compensated for that change in the work because of the missing detail on the design.
Okay. I think we have to ask, what's the timeline look like now?
Currently, they've notified us they're working on a July 31st substantial completion for the majority of the building, but they notified us they're concerned about having the courtrooms finished on level 500. They're anticipating that not be completed till the end of August.
Okay.
And that was due to something beyond the control of the contractor, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the architect has noted going on that starting last summer, they anticipated about 4 weeks behind schedule just overall in the project. The delay in the courtroom, some changes in some the mechanicals and one of these changes to put the projector screens into the general contractor's bid instead of having the FF&E package provide them after the fact.
But the first 4 levels really are different than the 5th level there's a different reason. So we're going to be holding the contractor responsible if he does make the deadline by July 31st? And
Yeah.
by that I mean it will be held.
Farzan and myself are working with the contractor on this issue.
I'm sure that's a yes, but I trust that we'll, I mean, I'm trying to get confirmation here that we're not going to do, it would appear to me that the issues on the first 4 floors, beyond that 30 days, the contractor has some responsibility for it.
Yes.
The 5th floor was different because of an error that, I don't recall the error, but it was an error that wasn't the fault of the contractor. So, just,
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Vote.
Vote on motion 17-658. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 17-659, in the matter of authorizing the use of Delaware County Commissioner funds to assist in funding the purchase of coffee, meals, refreshments, and other amenities for Delaware County EMS.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Good morning, Mayor Jennings, Assistant Chief. This resolution is for funding just light refreshments for training for our personnel. We're going through core competencies where we're checking all of our personnel, and this requires 8 hours a day at one location. We're actually using the Board of Development and Disabilities down on 23. So since they're there for 8 hours, we're just providing some water, coffee, just light refreshments throughout the day. So that's what this will be for.
Okay. Vote.
Vote on motion 17-659. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 17-660, in the matter of approving a professional services agreement with Re-Energy Incorporated for the disposal and beneficial reuse of biosolids generated from the county's wastewater treatment facilities.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Fromer, sanitary engineer. We have, based on the sealed proposals that we received, went through the evaluation process. The recommended company to negotiate agreement was Re-Energy, and we've worked out, working with Eric and in our office, to put together what we consider to be a very flexible agreement to meet our needs, immediate needs as well as long-term changes that might happen to our biosolids, and recommending approval, and if you guys have any questions about the agreement.
So we do save a little bit of money versus the previous setup.
That is correct. We are projecting to save, during the term of the agreement, a 5-year agreement, about $100,000 during that term, so.
The only comment I probably got 2 comments. I think this is good that we keep getting the solid waste out of the landfills. Does not serve anybody's interest, and I know we still have a little time on that contract. So I understand that we're going to be moving forward on this, and we'll be using Re-Energy fairly quickly in the process.
That is correct.
And the other point, I know there's been conversation regarding digester and to try to make us as green as we can, and I hope this project going forward does not interfere with a long-term evaluation of that. Regardless of how it's organized and who does, it's not the point, but I do think there's a need for us to try to move down that road, because I think there's an expectation we should be as green as possible. And
Yeah, to your point, I agree wholeheartedly. I think this is a good first step in our biosolids future. I think that, getting it out of the landfills and getting it to be to an energy resource recovery facility. And I think that the agreement is written such that, as we progress and look at other alternatives, for example, with 180 days notice, we can, get out of the agreement. Basically with that kind of notice, there's, no penalty. We just, we have to give that advance notice. And if we switch how we do biosolids, 180 days is a very short time frame. It's not like a 30-day type of situation. So, yeah, I think it really sets up, and also it allows us to, the other thing is having flexibility, and this agreement allows us to change the quantity, or, we may decide to do something more green and take half of it here and just have those options, long term, so.
Well, yes, I noticed too the contract is flexible on the issues that you pointed out, so
I feel real good about the contract and the
Yeah.
direction it's heading.
I agree.
It's a good
I just think
agreement.
we want to make sure that we get in a comfort zone and we don't look beyond that. And we've had this conversation, you know what I'm saying? And I have no clue what that should look like. And I'm certainly not suggesting that anything we've seen to date is what it should look like, but I think there's opportunity down the road. And
Yeah, I agree. You know, the private industry, you know, has latched on to green technologies and you know, other things faster than the government sector. But I think you'll see, and I know from your guys as a commission, what you'd like to see us head as different departments, that, you know, we'll be heading down that way once the technology gets more standard and we get the training of our folks and be able to work in that direction, so.
Yeah, I really like the flexibility. You know, that it's really critical because, as you said, the business model is changing, and who knows exactly which business model is going to be the best in 2 or 3 years, as well as regulations are constantly changing. We're expecting more regulation in this arena, so being flexible and so on is a good idea. I noticed that we can haul or they can haul. Which do you think we'll do in the short run anyway?
I think that we will start out hauling and track very carefully our assets that we use to haul. The trucks are very expensive. We have labor costs, we have fuel costs, and I think that when we get to a place where you know, we could realize more savings, or, you know, that part is becoming, I can tell you they'll be hauling before we buy any new equipment, definitely. But I think it's something we'll just want to track and see. Currently, we back down into the landfill, and we have a lot of maintenance costs associated with our, you know, because of the terrain that they go over. We're expecting a little bit of a reduction in that area, as we are going to be all on road surface. But if that were to change, you know, so that's kind of how we're going to be tracking. We'll look at that yearly and determine whether we need to get out. And I can't remember the specific provision, but I think it's 30 days or 60 days to switch to hauling, to having them haul. So,
Again, thanks for the leadership on this. Good step forward, I think. We'll take a vote.
Vote on motion 17-660. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis? Aye. Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Resolution number 17-661, in the matter of accepting the sanitary sewer improvements for the reserve at Scioto Glen Phase 3 and Brookview Manor, Section 2.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
the sanitary improvements in these 2 subdivisions have been constructed, and we're just recommending acceptance of the infrastructure.
Okay, vote.
Vote on motion 17-661. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Resolution number 17-662, in the matter of approving an advance of funds for juvenile court.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Good morning, Karen Watkins from the Delaware Juvenile and Probate Court. This is for our VOCA project. They are currently running behind due to the state year-end fiscal and the month-end reconciliation at the federal level, so our payments have currently been delayed, so I'm looking for a $27,000 advance to cover payroll until they release the funds that are owed to us.
You have no concern about the money coming in?
No, I don't.
Okay, vote.
Vote on motion 17-663. Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That brings us to administrative reports.
We got the budget calendar.
Oh, I looked right at it. Sorry. Resolution number 17-663, in the matter of approving the 2018 budget calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
The fiscal director is pointing at me, so I guess I'll start the discussion on this. Commissioners, we
couldn't shut him up while you were gone. Me and the camera going to get out of here.
I can imagine that. We have had some discussions in the last few weeks about making our budget process a little bit more official or a little bit more defined. And Sai and I have worked on the schedule, on this calendar. It is geared towards getting people ready ahead of time and not wondering, when should I be submitting my budget, when should I be talking to the commissioners and all of that. Let's get it journalized that this is the process we're going to follow. And as part of that process, just to take an extra step towards professionalism, we also want everyone to develop business plans. And people have been actually they've asked a lot of questions. Nobody has expressed any concern because everybody understands that a professional organization should have an annual business plan that should be part of the budget. In fact, the interesting thing is that most of our elected officials and our directors already have annual business plans. We just think that it's better to make it part of the budget process. So we think that these dates and these timelines are going to work out very well. It will give everybody a lot of opportunity to have discussions, answer questions, and understand the needs. And we're asking for your approval. Now, if you approve this, then we will send this out to everyone and say this has been adopted by resolution, and it's expected that everybody will follow this process.
I'd like to thank you for your work on this, Fazan. I know in Sai. And I think it's great. It's all spelled out. People know when things are due, and it certainly helps to know ahead of time rather than at the last minute or even, a week or so ahead. So
We even know the day we're supposed to approve it.
that's that's right. That's right. Yes, it helps us.
You can arrange your vacations on these dates.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd echo those comments, and this is great progress as we move and get bigger. We just need to implement better planning tools, and the business plan in particular is a big step forward so that everyone understands where each department and office is headed. And that's the driver of the budget, obviously. So, in compliments to the chatty assistant administrator and to you for your leadership on this. Good step forward.
Yeah.
Okay, take a vote.
A motion 17-663. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Now we're to administrative reports.
Since we mentioned annual reports, I just wanted to point out that the Emergency Management Agency just put out their annual report for last year, and one of the highlights for this year, and one of the highlights of last year was the Special Needs Registry. That's really good. And basically what that is if somebody has special needs or a family member who has special needs, then they can get them registered so that if in the event of an emergency, the responders know that there's someone in that home that has special needs. The other thing I wanted to mention was this afternoon I have a meeting with COTA, with Denny Schooley, who is with DATA, as well as the City of Worthington. And initially Orange Township was going to participate, but the administrator of Orange Township is off today, so he will not be participating. But COTA has Delaware County in their future planning, and that takes a bus up to Polaris, and they have thought about the 71 corridor down the road as the county's population increases. The conversation we want to have with COTA is that they need to look at the 23 corridor as well and coordinate with DATA. Right now, you can get on a DATA bus in Delaware, go to Worthington, and use the same pass to hop on a COTA bus and go to Columbus, but it will take you half a day to do that. And we have a lot of seniors in the county who have a need to go down there for hospital visits or other visits. As the population of the county increases, that half-a-day trip is not going to be very conducive. So we feel that the 23 corridor from downtown Columbus to downtown Delaware needs to be on COTA's future plan in conjunction with DATA. So we want to start that conversation going.
I wonder how long it takes to get back.
Leave them there. Another half a day.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Gee.
The last thing I wanted to mention was Commissioner Merrill was asking about the schedule across the street. The contractor has requested a time extension through August 31. Based on the documents that John Melvin and I have looked at as far as schedule, as far as work and so on and so forth, I don't recognize that. I do recognize July 31 as a legitimate time extension due to various things that may have happened in 2016, mostly weather-related. So we will be processing a time extension with the next change order. There's a bunch of items that still need to be reconciled. We are still a couple of $100,000 below the guaranteed maximum price on the courthouse, and we feel very comfortable that we will stay within the guaranteed maximum price. So there are two things that are not being sacrificed. One is quality of work, and one is that guaranteed maximum price. As far as omissions, I just wanted to give an example of what an omission is and why it becomes compensable. Imagine buying a vehicle with a CD changer and a sunroof, but when you take delivery, they forgot to put the sunroof in, but they didn't charge you for it either. So it's your choice. You want to accept it as it is, or you want to take it back and say, hey, my initial order was I wanted a sunroof. So if you put that sunroof in, well, you still have to pay for it because you weren't charged for it initially. Those are some of the items that John was listing today as compensable omissions. These were items that should have been included, but for some reason they were left out. And since they are being included, we are paying for it. Now, if it's an error that has to be redone, we don't pay for it. That's completely on the contractor.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all you got? Okay. Commissioner Lewis?
I would just like to thank Delaware City Police Chief Bruce Pichanowski. He represented Delaware County this past Friday on a call for stepping up for mid-sized counties, and he was able to share all the work that the county is doing regarding early intervention for persons with mental health and/or co-occurring developmental disabilities that have interacted with our criminal justice system, and he did an excellent job. And so he was on a call with all the mid-sized counties in the U.S. This is part of the national NACO Stepping Up program. They have the counties divided, large, urban, and mid-size, and small counties. So he did a great job, and just once again shows the cooperation with Delaware City and the counties. So we're all together on it, and that's it.
Okay. We'll turn to our newest Oklahoma State fan, Mr. Merrill.
I don't know who you're talking about.
You got a logo sitting right there.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do with that logo. The only thing I have is the legislative update. I'll make it real quick. I know there was an effort made to get the MCO issue addressed in conference. I guess that was unsuccessful. However, Senator Dolan from the Cleveland area did get some
Medicaid
get an amendment that makes the bills not the same, so it means there will be another conversation. I spoke to Andy, Representative Brenner, this morning twice. I think he's fully aware of it. I believe he understands the issue and will do what he can. It's really in the hands of leadership to a large degree at this point. I know you spoke to Senator Jordan last week, as I did, so hopefully Senator Jordan's also working in our behalf. And I believe you're going to talk to Representative Carfagna. So we just now kind of wait and see, and I wish I could say I was optimistic, but I can't.
Right.
And we'll see where it takes us.
8 days to go.
If this doesn't get addressed, I think it's unfortunate that the state leadership doesn't see the issue, and I'll just leave it at that.
That it? No sports updates?
No, that's all I have. I think that covers it for today.
All right.
I didn't know you were looking at me for more.
Usually you have some obscure Oklahoma sports victory to
you
talk
think we
about.
won another national championship or something?
All right, a couple of things. We did the benefits tools discussion. I guess Dawn's not here this morning, but did the benefits tools discussion last week, or Monday, I guess it was. And very well, I didn't even know all the tools that are available to help you manage your health care costs and your health. Just some really neat tools that are available to county employees who are on the plan, and I would encourage everyone to look into those and use them. See, we've got at noon today, Judge Hemmeter. I want
Oh, that's
to
right.
commend her for her leadership on this. Judge Hemmeter has a veterans docket, kind of an organizational meeting for a number of people around the area to talk about the special needs of veterans in courts, and she's looking at establishing a veterans docket. And again, it's being done around the state, and it is promising. So it's good that she's leading that, and we may end up with one here in the very near future, specifically a docket specifically to address veterans issues.
Right. She actually went up to Summit County and observed their veterans court, and that was recommended. That court is very well run, and Justice Stratton had recommended that she visit that. And so Judge Hemmeter was able to do that. So she's really doing her homework on it. So it'll be a good discussion.
Yeah, that'll be very
I think
interesting.
it's very necessary.
I think that's all I've got. We've got need for executive session.
We do. Resolution number 17-664, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of appointment of a public employee or public official for pending or imminent litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 17-664. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
All right, we're in executive session.